What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Picking up right where we left off in the last episode of the Shop Ute. We've got the broken LS1 here. We are sort of, as you saw from the end of the last episode, with half bolt found. Can't find anything obvious in the top end that's making this noise. So we're moving through some more diagnosis at the moment. Next thing that's sort of simple for us to get some more data and a bit more of an idea is just a simple compression test. So a simple compression test will sort of help eliminate cracked piston, which we don't believe it is because it's not breathing, or potentially a bent rod or something. Could be a bent rod and maybe a piston skirt's contacting a counterweight or something. Not sure, not too sure. Could be multiple things, but obviously from what we've seen, it doesn't appear to be anything top-endish, which was the hope. So yeah, let's see. Righto guys, so both fortunately and unfortunately, we have found the issue doing a compression test. And cylinder 2 is quite a bit lower than the rest of them. So
very obviously unhappy at that one.
Yeah, probably not too good. So with the launch button, you're retarding timing, which is actually reducing cylinder pressure. But as Rex explained, it definitely could have hydraulic on the fuel. Yeah,
it was the popping and banging was what I was listening to.
Yep.
And I do have a suspicion that it was going fairly rich because there is one other thing I changed when I flashed that other tuning. So my suspicion is that if it's gone like real pig rich, we've had a couple of failed fires on that cylinder, and then it's either just hydraulic, period, or if it's had like a bit of like pre-ignition or something, or something like that, with so much fuel in there. There's something like that's gone on, because there's no other reason that the button should cause that bend a rod. So whoopsie.
Oopsie daisies, that's the games you play though.
Oopsie doopsie.
Anyway, so yeah, I guess oh well, gonna have to fix that.
Yeah, well. What's up everyone? Welcome back to the shit show. Hope you brought beer, because I did. Starting on pulling this piece of junk out. It's about 7:30 at night now. I just ducked home and had some dinner and got back here. So as you can see, I got the bonnet off. Not the easiest thing to do on your own, but we do what we have to do. I'm not going to bother filming too much as I pull this out, because I am on my own at the moment. It's going to be a late night. I'll just I'll bring it back in when I've got something interesting to show you. Unfortunately, leaving it for a few days didn't make the noise any less obvious, so there's definitely something wrong. Curious to see exactly what's happened, and I will include you in the process as we see what's actually gone wrong. I have to admit, I'm quite frazzled at this point. This past week has been, I would call it a test, and my patience at the moment is razor thin. I'm not in a very good mindset to be doing this, but I can't afford for this car to be out of action again. So I'm just going to do what I have to do to get this apart. Hopefully I'll have it back together and sorted out by tomorrow. We'll just see how we go. Yep, I'm trying not to rant on here. I'll just get stuck into it, and I'll show you when we find something, anything interesting. All right, 2 hours later. It's now just after 9:30, and I've got the motor this far. And I'll just show you that I have found already exactly what I had expected to find. Hang on, let me see if I can, not with that anyway. Don't look up my skirt while I was doing that. Here we go. It's a bit clearer. Oh, okay, it's sort of the light. Anyway, see, you can sort of see, if you can on the GoPro, how that number 4 piston is sitting just proud of the deck. That's what they usually do. If you watch this piston right in the foreground here, number 2, if I could try and do this all with one hand, and whoops, you can sort of see right there, it's clearly a few thou down the hole. Very indicative of the bent rod that I was 100% sure that we had after that comp test. However, the top of the piston appears to be completely undamaged. So it's kind of weird. Detonation, like with these cast pistons, they're quite brittle. would usually result in some piston damage. Fucking GoPro batteries. I can understand Max's frustration. Hopefully you got the last part of that video. What I was saying is it's somewhat unusual. Detonation would normally cause a fair bit of damage to a cast piston because they're quite brittle. Having said that, I haven't got this one out yet, but we didn't see any chuffing, no heavy breathing. There's nothing indicative. Having said that, it doesn't take much of a pressure spike if you have a rod that's sort of at its limit. It doesn't take much of a pressure spike to tweak it or bend it, which is obviously what's happened with this. You can get some funny stuff happening, even though technically the timing's retarded with that spool button on, and it kills cylinder pressure in extreme retard situations. 2 steps, things like that. You can get some pretty funky stuff going on, and massive pressure spikes and random detonations in the pipe coming. There's a pressure wave coming back while the next event is coming out, and you can get a massive spike, which is sort of the same thing. And this is what happens. So I've learned a bit of a lesson with the spool button. It's not entirely safe, but I sort of know now, or I will in future. If the spool button's all fine, if I start hearing any pops and bangs, it's time to look before we do any damage, particularly when I put the button in the cruiser, because I really don't want to break that one as well. So I'll get the sump off now, and we'll pull this off and see how it's going. The next step too, once I get the sump off, I will do it. I won't bother filming it, but I'm just going to get the deck bridge. I already know this one is bent and it's down the hole. I'll measure how much though, and then the others showed comp test was all good, but I am going to throw the deck bridge on them and make sure that they are all within spec as well. And I'll do a visual inspection in the bottom. As long as it's only this one and there's no major damage to the bearings, I'll replace this rod and piston, and I'm just going to reuse the rings as long as they're fine. And we will be good to go again. So bear with me, we'll be back pretty shortly, and I'll let you know how we go. I'm curious to see what this rod looks like, to be honest. All right, so this little shiny mark matches, I'll pull the piston out and be able to see it clearer, the other shiny mark on the bottom of that piston. You'll be able to see when it comes out. I can't tell. I think that might have 2 bends in it. But yeah, she's pretty spaghetti. For reference, all the others have come up, measured up all right. Piston to deck clearance, they're actually a fair way out. Like sticking out of the top of the deck, which I don't really give a shit about, but they're all more or less the same, and they're all square front to back-ish, depending. It's like the carbon on the top. I don't really care. It's close enough. For reference, though, that one is 60 thou down the bore, which is a lot. That was where that like 20 to 25 psi of cranking compression disappeared to. And that was our knock, knock, knock. Now, in my defense, if I'd driven that for long enough, that probably would have self-clearanced and been all right, but don't think that rod would have lasted too long. So it's really looking at this point. I'll rip that one out. The rest of the bores, everything else looks pretty good in here. I'll have another quick look over it, but it's looking like I'll just snatch another piston and rod out of the back room, slap it back together, and we should pretty much be ready to rock and roll again. All right, so here's the culprit. She's pretty, you can see it in the background against the yeah, this is the wet noodle club. You can see that was where the old counterweight was doing its job. Luckily, when steel versus cast aluminium, steel doesn't usually cop much damage, so I'm not really concerned about the crank. This dickhead though, the bearing's kind of got just a touch of scoring in it. I'll be honest with you, I can't be fucked replacing it. I'm just gonna send it. Bores look all good. Like, look at that. That's as beautiful as a day. It was definitely professionally machine honed, and definitely not done here in the shed with a fucking drill. We don't do dodgy shit like that. So other than that, I reckon she's play on. I did talk to Max, and I think we're going to put new head gaskets on it. Those were already secondhand. I think a third time use is probably starting to push it a little bit. There was someone who mentioned that when I first changed these heads over, reused those head gaskets, and he was like, well, yeah, have fun with secondhand head gaskets. Ask me how I know. Little did he realize that's got secondhand head gaskets, and I do this all the time. So here we are. Head gaskets were never a problem. It just bent a rod. So joke's on you, buddy. I win. I was talking to Max, so I'm thinking while I'm here, I'm going to chuck a set of new LS7 lifters in it. The reason being is, like, I don't mind. The bent rod and piston for this is fine. Parts are cheap, that's not the issue. However, time to us is very precious at the moment, and basically, at the cost of a set of lifters, if one of them happens to fuck up in future, because these are second-hand ones, it's just the time. Time becomes such an issue. So I'm thinking new lifters and new head gaskets. Other than that, I'm just gonna find another rod and piston, everything back in. Oh, by the way, nothing wrong, no cracks, no nothing. Rings all look mint, so I'll reuse those rings, reuse that bearing, find another rod and piston. Basically, I'm gonna chuck this back together, and I don't want to have to pull it apart again. Let me assure you, the next time this engine comes apart, it's going to happen very quickly, as in a matter of seconds, if you get what I mean. So, it's pretty much where we're at. It's late. What's the time now? It's like 10:30. I'll probably do a couple more hours. I want to sort of try and have this basically ready to go back in the car in the morning. It just sucks because I'm going to have to wash a lot of shit. And it's really cold at the moment. There's just, it's not a good time to be doing it. I'll do all the fun stuff like cleaning up gasket surfaces and whatnot. So I'll probably try and get this back together, and then we'll check in with you in the morning. But overall, not the worst result in the world. And as I said before, valuable lesson, need to be careful and sparing with that button. I do think there's a couple of other things going on. We'll probably do that in a later video when I retune this thing. I think there was a couple of issues that led to this that I probably should have prevented, but you get that when you push for time. So, I'm rambling now. I'll get back to work. And look at that. Oh, bloody hell. And watch this. Okay, if I chuck this one here. Oh, can you hear that? No tight spots, no counterweights hitting anything. Bloody good as new. Like it never happened. All right. Well, I'm on a bit of a roll here. I'm just gonna keep going for a bit longer. What the time is? It's freaking, it's 11:30 now. Try and get a button up a little bit more before I head home. Get a couple of hours sleep and get going in the morning. And like the only real urgency on this is just the fact that I need to do customer stuff tomorrow. And this hoist needs to do customer stuff tomorrow. So I basically just need to smack this back together and get it out of here again so we can keep moving. But everything's coming up Millhouse. So, all right, let's do some more. I've done the cleaning. It sucked just as much as I thought it would, but it's done. And it's pretty much ready just to bolt it back together like some Lego. All right, weirdos and weirdettes, we are back. Max is here today. Bo's here today.
Yesterday as well.
Wow. I mean,
wasn't here last
this
night.
is from last night. Don't worry.
You
You know what I meant.
I've got a family and stuff to, be at home with.
He's saying that to hurt me. They're doing some RB nonsense. It's like 1:15. It's way later than I had intended. It took me a lot of time to get this back together just because this transcooler was originally just had those shitty like direct radiator mounts that just fell apart, and that gave me the shit. So I made up some new brackets and stuff. That just took a bit of time. Modified this a little bit as well, just trimmed it shit. So it mounted the Spilly Boy spill button relay. So this is literally first startup. So haven't even tried hitting the key yet. I got oil pressure up before, but that's it. So this is the story. This will tell us what's going on. Oh, sounds like an old-timey car horn. Come on. Come on, VCM scanner, get your shit together. Yeah. Yeah, you better, you dog. Alright, engine oil pressure. Here we go, let's pray for no knocks. Yep. Why are you being a weirdo? IC, sorry, has to sort itself out. Right. Woohoo! I've just got the usual injector and lifter noises. Woo! That's way less knocky. Yay! We're back. How to fix a bent rod in like one night and half a day. Alright. Yeah, I will. I'll let that get hot because I'm just going to top off the transmission fluid and the dipstick is way the heck down in there. I got to get past the pipes. Anyway, it doesn't rattle anymore. That's the main thing. So I'll call that a victory for now. Let's try again.